correspondent Wayne Carr, who's been finding the works of Satan recorded backwards on pop records.
The work of recording satanic messages backwards on popular records started with the Beatles and before. Alex Maloney of the Congregational Church of Elim Pentecostal Christians tours the country giving seminars in which he plays records backwards to demonstrate the evil within. I phoned him up and played him his own most famous example with Queen and Another One Bites the Dust.
Another one bites the dust.
Alex, let me ask you, first of all, how does it feel when you hear that?
How can I explain it? A quickening in my spirit. What I'm actually hearing is it's fun to smoke marijuana. The spirit behind the intention is definitely from a satanic force. And it's been going on ever since the Beatles and before.
Have you come across an example before by the vocal mega-crate Phil Collins?
I've not heard of one by Phil Collins.
See what you think of this.
Through their own bodies, because they've become slaves to that type of life.
They become a devil duct.
That's right. And so therefore they're used.
Some people even go so far as to...
Oh, yes. Well, you know, Scripture tells us in Proverbs 4:16 and 17,
Yep.
They cannot sleep until they make somebody fall.
The little old man
They
with
will not
raspberries.
know slumber until they do evil.
Pottering
They
around,
eat the bread of wickedness
You
and
go
drink
on
the wine of violence.
cocking the legs,
And
on
really
the
that
bushes.
is a scripture which points to
Falling
the
over.
way that it just goes on and
On.
on and on and on.
Yep.
Until people are absolutely
drunk.
drenched in...
The gastric juices of evil.
Oh, it's awful.
Perhaps most shocking of all, our last example is a record for kids.
Broke off his horse's head. There's the saucy fucker.
If you count that as very grim or very, very grim.
I think it's very, very grim. It's woven its way so much through that I don't think now any group can get onto the rock scene without being infiltrated.
Without having Satan in its bowels.
Very much so.
Amen.
There's the saucy fucker.
Wayne Carr with that disturbing story. This is On the Hour. Coming up over the next 843 seconds, outcry as Ford recall all cars.
We're not saying it's dangerous. It's just that if it came into contact with a child, then one of them would melt.
And pay global heed, say the Met Office.
Well, if the public insists on wearing these, then Newcastle will be under a ton of water by Ash Wednesday.
And as the hot weather continues, Britain is counting the cost. A farmer in Cumbria committed suicide after discovering the withering overnight temperatures had reduced his precious dairy cattle to the size of grasshoppers. And as water becomes increasingly scarce in the New Forest, several wardens have reported trees fighting for dew towards dawn. For a roundup of the latest weather prospects, here's Suzanne Charlton at the London Weather Centre.
Those places likely to be plagued by that: parts of Essex and Kent, Northern Ireland, northern parts of England, East Anglia, Wales, the Midlands and down towards the southeast. For the southwest, West Wales, Northern Ireland and in the far north of England and Northern Ireland, the cloud will increase during the day. That shows where the cloud's going to move into turning cloudy, though in Northern Ireland the cloud more likely to stick. Some low cloud there, but in complete contrast, cloudy with a little patchy drizzle. That's it.
Good. Still to come, studio analysis on the summit from Paddy Ashdown.
Can I just make one final point to you, Nick, and that's this?
No. Time for Sports Desk with Alan Partridge.
This is Sports Desk. I'm Alan Partridge. Confusion at the end of the American football Super Bowl in LA this week, as both teams claimed victory, and there was no one in the ground who was exactly sure how the scoring system works or of the basis upon which the points are awarded. Coach Eni Ramal of the LA Dogs said surely it's how much you throw the ball around that counts, while Zine Norcioni of the New York Dogs countered no, it's how fast you go up and down. That's what means you win. And news in from the dolphinarium Brighton, where kindly local dolphins and otters have come up with a novel way to solve the financial crisis of newly haired ex-bald swimming star Duncan Goodhue, their human aqua friend. They're planning to join with Goodhue in a musical aqua show involving leaping through hoops, catching fish and clicking. The dolphins and otters will wear wigs to remind even the most hard-hearted onlooker of the tragedy of Goodhue's misfortune. Duncan is hoping that the proceeds from the show will enable him to buy an electric razor or else a cheap novelty bald joke wig.
Alan Partridge with today's sport. And before you go, Alan, I gather that your wife rose from the dead this weekend.
Yeah, I was wondering how long it'd take for that one to get round. Yeah, I was doing a spot of decorating and, right like a bolt out of the blue, there was my wife, with a couple of other members of the living dead.
Any smell involved?
Quite a bit, I can tell you. A bit of a hoy there, but, so I had to, got out the garden hose, sort of clean her up a bit, and certainly I do love her, even though there's a smell.
The onset of putrefaction hasn't destroyed the charm.
Yeah.
On the Hour, maximum use of the BBC's news resources.
And now it's time for a video review, and our reviewer this week is Bob Tiff. Bob, have you found it an interesting selection this week?
Thank you, Chris. And 3 new films to tell you about this week, all of them specially rewritten and reshot for the video market. A case in point is Merchant Ivory's Room with a View 2, set like its predecessor in a Tuscan summer of long ago. Touching and sturdy performances by a stalwart team of British actors, including Denham Elliott, Judi Dench and Maggie Smith, are somewhat marred by the presence in the video version of a lethal swamp monster who stalks the streets of Florence by night, devouring Anglican clergymen. Overall, a disappointment. But there is a convincing performance as Chagrin the cleric-slaying mud creature from Simon Callow. Missouri is the setting for Woody Allen's new offering, Vacation of the Heart, another dowdy production from the former comedian. 4 middle-aged New York sitcom producers meet up at a remote mountain ranch. Dave and Marty are both in love with Danny's wife, Sue, while the 4th man, Melvin, has suddenly fallen in love with himself and has decided to make a film about it. Gradually, as the weekend progresses, Melvin and Dave discover more about themselves than Danny and Marty did of each other. Here's a clip.
Dave, I don't think I can write it.
Oh, for Christ's sake, what do you mean you can't write it?
I mean this joke. I can feel it, but I can't write it.
But comedy is about feeling.
Yeah, but where's the joke? Maybe I'm the joke. Or the joke. He's axed my arm off.
Woody Allen and Michael Murphy there, with a brief appearance as the mutilated axe-wielding corpse of a long-dead Nazi by Mia Farrow. Of course, Vacation of the Heart. And finally, we go to the bottom of the pile, in every sense. From TriStar Videos comes Revenge of the Stinking Dead. The title, sleeve notes, and indeed still photographs on the cover promise much entertaining spilling of gore and severing of limbs. But sadly, all this is lacking in the film itself. Director Bill Goering misses several opportunities to spatter the old red stuff, and instead shamelessly concentrates on the slight tale of a young Russian peasant boy struggling to nurture his gift for the viola, while managing the demands of his dead father's farm. What should have been an enjoyable 90 minutes of nubile high school flesh meeting a frenzy of blood-caked blades becomes instead an exploitational and complex parable of the conflicting demands of agrarianism and artistry. I voted a miss.
On the Hour, choice morsels from a broad kitchen.
More news now from the World Summit on the Future.
Can I just make one final point, Nick, and that's this?
No. And the summit has, of course, been a rich source of material for comic satirists. Our reporter Steve Largesse paid a visit to the offices of Radio 4's long-running, irreverent romp through the week's news. Thank God it's Satire Day.
It's 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning, and I'm holding in my hand a blank piece of paper. But by Saturday evening, not only must this page be full of thought-provoking topical jokes, but those jokes must be broadcast on the radio to be heard by us. So, just how is this unbelievable and amazing transformation brought about? Well, I'm here at the Satire Day Writers' Meeting to find out. Well, here goes. Hello! Hello! So here we are.
Steve, sit down. Meet the others.
Deborah Lindsay is the producer.
Right. This summit conference, guys, Any ideas? Martin?
Yeah, Deb. Well, I was thinking it through last night. It just seemed to me like quite a clever angle if we sort of took it back to Robin Hood and like we portrayed Gorbachev as Robin Hood and connect that with, like, John Major could be the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yes. Yes, I'll hold on to that, Martin. Richard?
Yeah, I had an idea, actually. What about if we did a parallel with like the Robin Hood story, only taking Robin Hood to be John Major and Gorbachev to be Sheriff of Nottingham? I think that might be a nice little, make a few points that way, yeah?
Yes, I like it. I like it.
And then Mrs. Thatcher could be like Maid Marian, maybe.
That's fantastic. I'm going to go with it.
No, because no.
Right up could be Willie Whitelaw or something, maybe.
No, that wouldn't work.
Norman Willis?
Maybe. Yeah, but it is. I'll go away and work on it, and then maybe I'll show it to you.
I know, I think the two of you should get your heads together, go down to the coffee bar, talk through, bash it through,
But
come
I'll
back
take it
upstairs.
away. I'm on a 5-minute commission. If I share it with him, then I've only got 2.5 minutes.
I think we can thrash this through when actually the sketch is written, guys. Shall we?
Yeah, so I'll write it, then we'll thrash it through, yeah?
Yeah, but I'll do the actual writing, and Richard can advise, maybe.
Commissioned writer Martin Longthorpe has been writing for Satire Day for 23 years.
The thing I always like to throw into the pot is the Robin Hood idea. Because I think, Robin Hood, it's endless. Robin Hood will always be there. And so I chuck it in every week.
Well, here we are, 24 hours later. The script has been written, and Richard's Robin Hood sketch has chosen to be performed for the show.
Ha-ha! I am Robin John Major Hood.
Yes, you are so short-sighted. You probably wear some kind of hood.
I rob from the poor and give to the rich because I am completely evil and government is really bad if it's right-wing.
Yes, with you in charge, I doubt we'll win the next election.
Makes you think, Iron Maid Marian. Oh, and apparently there's been some kind of summit this week as well.
I'd say my ultimate ambition for Satire Day is to bring down the Tories and their shamefaced hypocrisy. But also, and more importantly, I'd like to give old and middle-class people in the South East something to chuckle about on a Saturday night.
Thank God It's Satire Day was written by Larkagin Babs, Gingerly Roundabouts, Polly Pantomime, Stephen Hull Hosiery, Peru, Dick Hickory, Simeon Samian, Beanbolt Bambendy, Lynn and Barry Harry Bean, Therese and Tommy Territory, with newslines by Melton Stitt, Massingbird, Gary Riot, Keith Bouhaha, Christ, Lardidar Hardcastle, Engelbert Impromptu, and Fact Portugal. It's 10 to 3 to 4 to 5, and the conclusions of the summit have just been announced. And the first surprise was the announcement itself, which was made in a new world language called Interglotty. The decisions were as follows.
Human Tree.
Good evening.
Kleb Trebi Hong, Shabaka Shabaka Shali. The Lub Shahundakok, Portion.
Future would be better if everything was moved over to the left a bit. Builders didn't have arses.
Hoblitrat.
There were a few more red things.
Sak Fuhaka.
And people breathed out less often than they breathed in.
Now.
And at home, public reaction to the new rulings has been swift.
What do you think of the proposals for breathing out a little less often?
I would think you're barking up a sticky wicket there.
And say for every 20 times you breathe in, how many times should you breathe out?
About 10.
What do you think of the very latest proposals to make a few more red things?
Well, I don't think very much, really. I don't like too highly coloured things.
So what do you think of the let's make a few more red things society?
I expect it attracts the younger people, but it doesn't appeal to me too much.
Well, there's enough red things about in there.
Are there?
There's enough red things about, like fire engines, post boxes.
What could be the danger in having too many red things?
Well, if you have too many red things, your eyes start going.
How many more red things should we be allowed?
Oh, about 3 or 4.
A successful end to the World Summit on the future.
Can I just make one final point?
No.
Closing music.
And it's time for a look at tomorrow's headlines. The Times, farmer loses piece of straw in unexpected gust disaster. They're devoting 12 pages to that story. The Telegraph, Penelope Keith riots end in shaving contest. The Independent, Tory backbench in sword fight with devil. There's a diagram there of hell. And The Sun, Princess Di's hair dishevelled by 7-inch tornado. That's it, and wherever you're going, hello.